The next method of obtaining the polarized light is polarization by absorption. So in the previous lecture we discussed the method of obtaining the polarized light by reflection, and then we discussed how to obtain polarized light by refraction, and the third method we are going to use to obtain polarized light is by absorption. So the term that we will use over here is selective absorption. Selective absorption. So we know that electric field, the EM wave, it consists of electric field as well as magnetic field, but when we are talking about polarization, we always talk about only the electric field. Electric field at any point in space and at any instant of time can be divided into two orthogonal components. So in this case, polarization by absorption, what do we use is we absorb one of the two components. The electric field which is present in EM wave, it can be divided into two orthogonal components. So from those two orthogonal components, one of the orthogonal components is absorbed, and that is called as selective absorption. And selective absorption occurs due to dichroism property of a material. This selective absorption, that is absorbing one of the two orthogonal components of the electric field in an EM wave, it occurs due to the dichroism property of the material. Now what is dichroism property? This is the property of certain materials in which light in different polarization states traveling through it experiences a different absorption coefficient. So dichroism is the property of certain materials. So this is not common in all the materials. So this is a property of certain materials. So the dichroism property is characteristics of certain materials, and what is this property? That certain materials, they show different absorption coefficients to different polarization states of light. For example, if a light wave which is entering in any material, let's say this is a dichroic material, and let's say this is the vibration of the electric field of the incident light. The vibrations of the electric field, they are in the plane of paper. So this light, when it falls on this material and it passes through this material, it will show one absorption coefficient. So this vibration of electric fields, these vibrations of electric field, they will be absorbed. This material, it will try to absorb these vibrations and it will show one absorption coefficient. So if the vibrations of electric field, let's say if they are in the plane of paper, it shows a certain absorption coefficient. And let's say now if you, instead of this EM wave, we make the EM wave which has vibrations of electric field perpendicular to the plane of paper, and we make this EM wave to fall on this dichroic material. So earlier the first EM wave, it had vibrations of electric field parallel to the plane of paper. So when this light, it falls on this dichroic material, this material, it shows one absorption coefficient. And now if we change the polarization state, so now the electric field vibrations, they are perpendicular to the plane of paper. So this material, it will show a different absorption coefficient to this electric field vibrations. So this is the dichroic property. This is the dichroism. So it is a property of certain materials in which light in different polarization states. So light is in different polarization states, traveling through it experiences a different absorption coefficient. So these materials, they show different absorption coefficients to different polarization states of the incident EM wave. So this is the dichroism property, and we will use this property. We use this property of the materials to obtain polarization. Due to this property, electric field oscillations along a certain directions, they are absorbed, and electric field oscillations in perpendicular direction are easily transmitted. So let's say this material, it shows a very high absorption coefficient for these vibrations of electric field. Let's say this material, it shows very high absorption coefficient to the vibrations of electric field which are perpendicular to the plane of paper, but it shows a very less absorption coefficient to the electric field vibrations which are in the plane of the paper, which means that these perpendicular vibrations, these perpendicular vibrations, they will be absorbed by this material, whereas these vibrations which are in the plane of the paper, they will be easily transmitted. So this is how we obtain polarization in these dichroic materials. So due to this property of the materials, electric field oscillations along a certain direction are absorbed. So they are absorbed inside the material, and electric field oscillations in perpendicular direction, they are easily transmitted. And this is because along a certain direction in which the electric field oscillations are absorbed, the material shows a high absorption coefficient. So there is a certain direction in the material in which there is a very high absorption coefficient. So the electric field oscillations along that particular direction, they are easily absorbed, and the electric field oscillations in the perpendicular direction, they are easily transmitted. So example of such dichroic materials is the tourmaline crystal. So this tourmaline crystal, it shows different absorption coefficients for different polarization states of a light. So this tourmaline crystal has different coefficients of absorption for the two perpendicular components of electric field. So here I have shown in this diagram, I have taken a tourmaline crystal and I have made unpolarized light to fall on this material. So the unpolarized light, it falls on the tourmaline crystal, and I have shown these double-headed arrows. These double-headed arrows are in the plane of the paper, and I have also shown here dots. So these dots, they represent that there is electric field which is perpendicular to the plane of the paper. So unpolarized light, it can be divided into two orthogonal components. One I have taken in the plane of the paper, and another I have taken perpendicular to the plane of the paper. So the unpolarized light, it can be divided into two orthogonal components. So when these two orthogonal components, they are made to fall on the tourmaline crystal. So let's say if the absorption coefficient in this direction is less. So we are just assuming that the absorption coefficient in this direction, in the direction of the plane of the paper, in this direction, the absorption coefficient is very less, whereas the absorption coefficient perpendicular to the plane of the paper is very high for this material. So you can see that the electric field component which is in the plane of the paper, it easily passes through the tourmaline crystal, because this crystal, it shows very less absorption coefficient to these vibrations of the electric field which I have shown by orange color, whereas the perpendicular component of the electric field experiences a high absorption coefficient inside this tourmaline crystal, due to which the perpendicular component, the electric field component which is perpendicular to the plane of the paper, it gets absorbed as it travels inside this tourmaline crystal. So you can see that I have decreased, that along the length I have decreased the magnitude of the electric field which is perpendicular to the plane of the paper. So earlier this was the perpendicular component, this was the component of the electric field which was perpendicular to the plane of the paper, but I have assumed that in this tourmaline crystal, along this direction, this crystal shows a very high absorption coefficient, due to which this component which is perpendicular to the plane of the paper, it gets absorbed inside the tourmaline crystal along the length of the crystal. So as the EM wave, it travels through this tourmaline crystal, the component of the electric field, this orange which is shown by orange color, it easily passes, whereas the other component, the perpendicular component, it gets absorbed inside the tourmaline crystal. So one of the components gets absorbed quickly and the other component passes through it without much attenuation. So there is no much decrease in the magnitude of this component, so it easily passes through the tourmaline crystal. So using this property, the tourmaline crystal, it uses its dichroic property. We can use the dichroic property of the tourmaline crystal to obtain the polarized light. So you can see that the light which is coming out of the tourmaline crystal is linearly polarized light. And there are two terms that we use over here. One is the transmission axis. Now transmission axis is the axis, it is the direction, it is the axis along which the electric field component easily passes through the crystal, whereas the absorption axis is the axis along which the component of the electric field gets absorbed inside the material. So these are the two axes that the terms that we use in the case of tourmaline crystal. Now tourmaline crystal is a natural occurring crystal. So this is a natural occurring crystal, but in laboratory also we can use the dichroic property. We can use the dichroic property to obtain polarized light. So example of artificial dichroic device. So we can construct artificial devices that are based on the dichroic property. So example of artificial dichroic device is the wire grid polarizer. So example of dichroic device, artificial dichroic device. The natural occurring dichroic device is the tourmaline crystal, whereas in laboratory we can construct such devices which are based on the dichroic property, and these are called as artificial dichroic devices. And one of the examples is wire grid polarizer. Now this wire grid polarizer, we will just see in this lecture that how wire grid polarizer, it helps us in obtaining the plane polarized light. Just same as that of the tourmaline crystal. The tourmaline crystal, it uses the dichroic property and absorbs one component of the electric field and it transmits the another component of the electric field. So therefore plane polarized light is obtained using the tourmaline crystal, and we will see how wire grid polarizer, it helps us in obtaining the linearly polarized light. And we will also see that these wire grid polarizers, they have a certain disadvantage, and we will see what is the disadvantage and to overcome this disadvantage. So this disadvantage will be discussed further in this lecture. To overcome this disadvantage of the wire grid polarizer, what we use is molecular analog of the wire grid polarizer. The molecular analog of wire grid polarizer is used to overcome the disadvantage of the normal wire grid polarizer. And this molecular analog of wire grid polarizer, one example of molecular analog is the H-sheet polarizer. And we will see how H-sheet Polaroid. H-sheet Polaroid is one of the examples of molecular analog of the wire grid polarizer, and they overcome the disadvantage of the wire grid polarizer. So we will see what is wire grid polarizer, we will see what is its disadvantage, and how the molecular analog, how these H-sheet Polaroids, they help us in obtaining the polarized light. So wire grid polarizer essentially consists of a set of fine closely spaced conducting wires. So wire grid polarizer, from the name also you can assume that it is made up of, it consists of fine closely spaced conducting wires. So there are conducting wires, very fine. By fine we mean that they are very thin. So fine closely spaced conducting wires, they are placed parallel to each other. So in this diagram I have shown that these are the conducting wires. They can be made up of copper. So these wires, conducting wires, they are placed parallel to each other and they are very closely placed. So fine closely spaced conducting wires are placed parallel to each other. Now this construction of the fine closely spaced conducting wires helps us in obtaining the polarized light. So what happens is, when you make the unpolarized light to fall on this particular device, so this is called as wire grid polarizer, and we are going to see how this wire grid polarizer, it polarizes the unpolarized light. So here I have made the unpolarized light to incident on the wire grid polarizer. So what happens is that the component of the electric field, which is perpendicular to the wires, it easily passes through this particular device, whereas the component of the electric field which is parallel to these wires gets absorbed. So we will see why the parallel component of the electric field gets absorbed, whereas the perpendicular component, the electric field component which is perpendicular to the wires, it easily passes through the wire grid polarizer. So when an EM wave, that is unpolarized light, is incident on it, then the component of the electric vector along the length of the wires is absorbed. So the component of the electric field along the length of the wires gets absorbed by this device, whereas the perpendicular electric vector, the electric vector which is perpendicular to the wires, easily passes through the wire grid polarizer. So why does this happen? Now this component of the electric vector, the component of the electric vector which is parallel to the wires, the electric vector component which is parallel to the wires gets absorbed. So why does this gets absorbed? This gets absorbed because this component of the electric vector drives the electrons within the wires. So as we have taken conducting wires, so if we are taking conducting wires, there are free electrons which are present inside these wires. So when the component of the electric field which is parallel to the wires, which is along the length of the wires, it falls on these wires, the electrons which are present inside these conducting wires, they start oscillating. They start oscillating and they generate alternating currents. So this alternating current then gets dissipated through Joule's heating. So how the component of the electric field which is along the length of the wires gets absorbed? It gets absorbed because this component of the electric field, it drives the electrons which are present inside the wires. So the electrons, they start oscillating and they generate alternating currents. So this alternating current, it gets dissipated through Joule's heating. So the alternating current or the energy that is dissipated in the form of heat. So the alternating currents are dissipated through Joule's heating. Whereas the perpendicular component, the component of the electric field which is perpendicular to the length of the wires, passes as it is without much attenuation. So only the component of the electric field which is along the length of the wires gets absorbed by this device, and the perpendicular component, the component of the electric field which is perpendicular to the wires, it easily passes through this device. So therefore the light which comes out of this polarizer is linearly polarized light with the vibrations of electric field perpendicular to the length of the wires. So the EM wave which comes out of this polarizer has the vibrations of electric field perpendicular to the length of the wires, because the parallel component has been absorbed by the electrons. So the perpendicular component of the electric field passes as it is without much attenuation. Thus the emergent wave, the outgoing wave, is linearly polarized. So this wave is linearly polarized with the electric vector vibrations perpendicular to the length of the wire. So this outgoing wave has the vibrations of electric field perpendicular to the length of these wires. Now what is the disadvantage of this wire grid polarizer? So this device, it polarizes the unpolarized light. So this is called as wire grid polarizer. Now what is the disadvantage of wire grid polarizer? So this system, for this system to be effective, for this wire grid polarizer to be effective, the spacing between the wires should be less than or of the order of the wavelength of the light which we are using. For this wire grid polarizer to be effective means to polarize the light. This wire grid polarizer, it will polarize the light only when the spacing between the wires is less than or of the order of the wavelength of the incident light. So this fabrication of such a polarizer, fabrication means the construction of such a polarizer, is relatively easy for microwave. So if we are making the microwave to fall on these wire grid polarizer, now the microwave, they have their wavelength which are of the order of 1 centimeter. The wavelength of the microwave is 1 centimeter. It is around 1 centimeter. So the construction of the wire grid polarizer to polarize microwave is very easy, because the wavelength of microwave is 1 centimeter, and for the wire grid polarizer to be effective, the spacing between the wires should be less than or of the order of the wavelength of the light. So if you are making microwave to fall on the wire grid polarizer, then the spacing should be of the order of 1 centimeter, and that is relatively easy. So in laboratory we can easily construct a system, we can easily place the conducting wires which are separated by a distance of 1 centimeter or less than 1 centimeter. So fabrication of such a polarizer is relatively easy for microwave. But if we are talking about polarizing the light wave, means the visible light. So on an average, the light wave, it has wavelength which is around 5 into 10 power minus 5 centimeter. The wavelength of microwave is around 1 centimeter. Whereas if we talk about visible light, it has wavelength which is of the order of 5 into 10 power minus 5 centimeter. So to construct a wire grid polarizer for polarizing the visible light is very difficult. because for a wire grid polarizer to be effective, the spacing between the wires should be less than or of the order of the wavelength of the light, and the visible light, it has wavelength which is around 5 into 10 power minus 5 centimeter. Due to this, the fabrication of the wire grid polarizer to polarize the light wave is very difficult. So fabrication of a polarizer in which the wires are spaced at a distance less than 5 into 10 power minus 5 centimeter is extremely difficult. So this wire grid polarizer, it cannot be constructed for visible light, whereas the construction of the wire grid polarizer is very easy for the case of microwave. So this is the disadvantage that we were talking about earlier. So this is the disadvantage of this wire grid polarizer. So how do we overcome this disadvantage? So what is the solution? To overcome this difficulty, the difficulty that we were facing with the wire grid polarizer, to overcome the difficulty, we use molecular analog of the wire grid polarizer. So the working will be the same, the principle will be the same, whereas now we will have the molecular analog of the wire grid polarizer. So example of molecular analog is H-sheet polyride, and we will see what is the construction of H-sheet polyride and how it helps us in obtaining the polarized light. Now in the case of H-sheet polyride, what do we use? We use polyvinyl alcohol sheet. So we take a sheet, very thin sheet of polyvinyl alcohol. Now we know that the polyvinyl alcohol molecules, these are the long chain molecules. So therefore we are taking this polyvinyl alcohol sheet. So we take a thin sheet, very thin sheet of polyvinyl alcohol. So this polyvinyl alcohol sheet, it has long chain molecules. And these long chain molecules, these are not aligned. In a normal condition, these are not aligned. So we make the long chain molecules of the polyvinyl alcohol sheet to get aligned. And how do we make them aligned? We heat the sheet and then we stretch it. We heat the sheet and then we stretch it, and we stretch it so that the long chain molecules, they get aligned in a particular direction. So we heat and stretch the sheet so that the long chain molecules of the polyvinyl alcohol, they get aligned along a particular direction. Now the sheet is then treated with the iodine solution. This sheet of polyvinyl alcohol is then treated with the iodine solution, and the iodine molecules, they get aligned along the polyvinyl molecules. So firstly, we make the polyvinyl alcohol molecules to get aligned in a particular direction by heating and stretching it. And after that, we treat the sheet with the iodine solution, and these iodine molecules, they get aligned along the polyvinyl molecules. So let's say these are the polyvinyl molecules. So these are the polyvinyl molecules which we make them aligned along a certain direction by heating and stretching it. And after that, we treat this sheet with the iodine solution so that the iodine molecules, they also get aligned along the direction in which the polyvinyl molecules are aligned. So what is the working? So the conduction electrons of the iodine. Now this iodine, we have treated the sheet with iodine solution. Now these iodine molecules, they have conducting electrons. The conduction electrons of iodine under the influence of the electric field vector stimulate the role of wires. So earlier in the case of wire grid polarizer, we had wires. We have large number of wires, conducting wires, and these conducting wires, they had free electrons. And when the EM wave is made to fall on this wire grid polarizer, the component of the electric vector which is parallel to the wires gets absorbed. It is due to the presence of the free electrons. So in the case of H-sheet polyride, the conduction electrons of the iodine under the influence of the electric vector, they play the role of wires. So these conduction electrons of the iodine, they play the role of wires in the case of wire grid polarizer. So the working will be the same. The electrons in the iodine molecules, they will start oscillating when the electric field, it falls on them. So due to that component of the electric field will get absorbed. So the conduction electrons of iodine under the influence of the electric vector, they stimulate the role of wires of the wire grid polarizer. So the working is the same, but now this H-sheet polyride, it overcomes the disadvantage of the wire grid polarizer. And this is because we are using the molecular analog. We are taking a sheet which consists of polyvinyl alcohol molecules, and these molecules, they are very closely spaced. The spacing between these molecules is very less as compared to the normal wire grid polarizer which we discussed just now. So this H-sheet polaroid, or you can say the molecular analog, it overcomes the disadvantage of the normal wire grid polarizer. So a sheet containing such long chain polymer molecules aligned parallel to each other is called as polaroid. So a sheet containing such long chain molecules which are aligned parallel to each other is called as polaroid, and therefore we call it as a H-sheet polaroid. So the spacing between the two adjacent long chain molecules. The spacing between two adjacent long chain molecules. So let's say if this was the polymer molecule and this is the polymer molecule, this is the polymer molecule. So the spacing between these molecules, long chain molecules, is very small as compared to the optical wavelength. Now what is the optical wavelength that we have taken? That it is around 5 × 10⁻⁵ centimeters. So the visible light on an average, it has wavelength which is 5 × 10⁻⁵ centimeter, and these molecules, long chain molecules, the spacing between these molecules is very less, and hence it is effective in producing the linearly polarized light. The spacing between the two adjacent long chain molecules is small as compared to the optical wavelength. Due to this, this molecular analog is very effective in producing the linearly polarized light in the case of light wave, whereas the normal wire grid polarizer that we discussed just before this topic, so that wire grid polarizer, it is effective in producing the polarized light for the case of microwave, whereas this H-sheet polaroid is effective in producing the polarized light for the case of light wave also.